Bobby the brave lion cub felt the familiar gust of wind swirling around him as the magical whirlwind began its work. Before he could blink, Bobby was standing in the heart of Rome, Italy, surrounded by ancient stone buildings and iconic landmarks. The Colosseum loomed ahead, and the bustling streets were alive with the sounds of music, chatter, and the smell of delicious food. Bobby looked up at the towering monument, his eyes wide with wonder. Wow, this place is magnificent. As Bobby wandered through the streets, he noticed something exciting. A chariot race was about to take place in the Colosseum. The crowd gathered, and Bobby could see riders preparing their chariots, horses snorting in excitement. A man in a toga approached Bobby and said, "You there, young lion cub, I can see you have the heart of a true adventurer. The race today is the most important event of the year, and we could use someone like you to help represent us." Bobby tilted his head. "You want me to race a chariot? But I'm a lion, not a horse." The man chuckled. "I know, but your courage and speed are just what we need. The race is fierce, and the winner will gain eternal glory." Bobby's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Count me in. I'll win this race for you." Bobby was led to the chariot preparation area, where he saw the fierce competitors for the race. There were 4 other chariots, each with a skilled rider and their horses. The riders were tall, muscular men, each with a confident smirk on their faces. They had practiced for years, and now they were here to win. One rider, a tall man with dark hair and a scar across his cheek, looked Bobby up and down with a sneer. "A lion cub? This will be interesting." Bobby growled softly, his golden eyes narrowing. "You don't know who you're up against." The man just chuckled and turned to his horse, a massive black stallion. Bobby's own chariot was pulled by 2 strong and sleek horses, their coats a gleaming white. The chariot itself was decorated with gold accents and bright red paint. It was a beauty built for speed. "I think I'll need a little more practice before this race," Bobby said to himself as he climbed into the chariot. But the riders were already lining up at the starting line, the horses snorting with anticipation. "Time to show them what I've got," Bobby said, gripping the reins. The chariots lined up at the starting line in the center of the Colosseum. The crowd roared with excitement, waving flags and cheering for their favorite riders. Bobby's heart raced as the sound of the crowd's cheers filled the air. The royal announcer raised his hand and then the trumpet sounded. "Riders, prepare yourselves. On your marks, get set." Before he could finish, the gates opened and the chariots were off. The horses galloped forward, their hooves pounding against the dirt track as the riders fought for the lead. Bobby gripped the reins with all his might, trying to steady the horses. They raced down the track, the wind in Bobby's fur and the dust rising in the air. But his challengers were already pushing ahead, riding fast and aggressive. One rider in particular, the one with the scar, swerved his chariot dangerously close to Bobby's, attempting to knock him off balance. Bobby's heart pounded, but he knew he couldn't back down. "Steady, horses," Bobby murmured. He leaned into the turn and urged the horses to move faster. The scarred rider tried again to push Bobby off the track, but Bobby dodged just in time, avoiding a dangerous collision. The crowd cheered as Bobby shot forward, quickly gaining speed. "Ha! I'm not so easy to push around," Bobby growled under his breath. As the race progressed, Bobby could feel the tension building. The competitors were getting more aggressive. They were fighting for first place, and Bobby had to outsmart them. At the next sharp turn, the scarred rider sped up, planning to block Bobby's path and force him to crash. Bobby's heart raced as he approached the turn, seeing the rider's plan. Thinking quickly, Bobby pulled the reins sharply to the left, causing the horses to skid and make a risky turn. The scarred rider couldn't keep up and was forced to take a wider turn. Bobby gained a few seconds, but he wasn't out of danger yet. Just ahead, there was a jump ramp designed to test the rider's skills. The other competitors were getting closer, but Bobby's horse was moving faster than ever before. He had to make this jump perfectly or he could lose everything. "Hold on, big guy." Bobby shouted as he urged his horses forward. The jump came into view and Bobby's horses soared over it, landing gracefully on the other side. The crowd gasped and cheered. Bobby had made it. With only a final lap remaining, Bobby was in second place, but the scarred rider was still leading. The other competitors had fallen behind and the finish line was within sight. "This is it," Bobby said to himself. "I can do this." The two chariots were neck and neck as they headed toward the final stretch. The finish line was just a few hundred yards away. Bobby's heart raced as the sound of the crowd grew louder, their cheers filling the air. In a final desperate attempt to win, the scarred rider pulled ahead, trying to block Bobby's path. But Bobby was ready. He spurred the horses on, giving them everything they had left. With one final burst of speed, Bobby's chariot crossed the finish line first, just inches ahead of his rival. The crowd erupted in cheers as Bobby's victory was announced. The scarred rider bowed his head in defeat. Bobby grinned, proud of his triumph. "That's how it's done." The man in the toga ran over to Bobby. "You did it. You brought glory to Rome." Bobby grinned. "It was a wild race, but we made it." And with that, the magical whirlwind appeared once again. Bobby waved goodbye to his new friends and vanished into the wind, ready for the next adventure.